about this, which officially opened this year.
Correct.
So I don't know, are we christening this room?
You are not.
Thank you.
You're the first DHA meeting.
Right.
Yes, we are,
There you
hopefully
go.
not the last. Adrian, we okay?
We're good, we're live.
Okay. Want to thank everyone for coming, and we got some good speakers to hear from. Thank you, Senator, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Everyone knows Sally Harrell. Thank you. So we'll get this meeting started. Recognition of our elected officials. Of course, we have Senator Sally Harrell with us. We have our fantastic Mayor, Lynn Deutsch. Former elected officials, our former Mayor, Denny Shortle. Your wife dropped you off. Thank you for coming. Robert Wittenstein. Are we missing anyone? If I am, I apologize. Bob Dallas?
For what?
I don't know, but Captain Tom said you ought to be recognized.
Oh, there we go.
Former harbor.
Well, I just want to give a short update, and then we'll get going. Thanks everyone for coming, and I'll just let you know where we are with DHA as we currently stand. This past year, we had 800 plus members. Hopefully that will be growing a little bit this coming year. We did a great job with the 4th of July parade. Matt Weber and Penny they'll tell us about that. They're going to announce our Grand Marshal in a little bit. Thank you guys for coming. We had the best parade ever in 2024. In 2023, we hope to have maybe a couple of extra bands this coming year, because everyone likes bands in the parade. And we are still, by far, the largest 4th of July parade in the state. So that's fantastic. Farmers Market. Sue, where's Sue Ellis? Sue, you're still here. You want to say just a couple of words about the Farmers Market, where we're headed?
Well, the state of the farmer's market is very good.
Please stand up, Sue.
The state of the farmer's market is very good. Everything's going well. We've started already, but we've had lousy weather all but one Saturday. But please come out. It's a great market. There's great music. The kids love it. The dogs love it. And people too. So yes, please come out every Saturday. You know, it's at Brook Run in the field up at the front, 9 to 12.
Sue said we have live music every Saturday. Just get up, come in your warm-up suit, or you're getting your PJs, because we have fresh coffee and bread vendor, and there's some great food to be had. Thank you, Sue. Food Truck Thursdays going on its 12th season.
Until I can get somebody else to take it over.
Good luck with that. And, you know, this 2 years ago, I want to mention Light Up Dunwoody. Jimmy Economos has handled this for the last 2 years. He's taken over the whole project. And this year, at the Shops of Dunwoody, it was our second year there. We estimated we had over 2,000 people there. We had some great acts from Dunwoody High School and some of the local dance folks, and we just had a really, I mean, I thought the event was dying off a few years ago, and Jimmy has done a great job in reviving it. If you don't know Jimmy, he is a lifelong. Jimmy has done a great job in reviving it. If you don't know Jimmy, he is a lifelong Dunwoody resident. He actually lives just outside the city limits now. He's trying to come back, but Jimmy has just done a great job the past 2 years. And he also helps us out, helps Penny and Matt out with the parade. And he's just been a lifesaver for us, and it's a labor of love for him. He could be charging us a lot more to do the things that he does, but it's just his love for Dunwoody, so we appreciate that. I want to get us, let's get us started with the Penny and Matt with our announcement of our, whatever you guys want to give us an update on the parade, but our announcement of our Grand Marshal for 2024.
Going up front would be great, right now we see your butts. There we go.
Is that not the shot?
She wants it.
Cameras with
All right.
Just stand in front.
So we actually have the theme and the parade. So this year the theme is
Red, white, and
"And You."
Oh.
It's kind of right? Some play on red, white, and blue, of course. And then our Grand Marshal is David Davis.
Oh,
We've been with
yeah.
us, done the fabulous.
Great.
And so we want to honor him for what he did.
Yes, 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 good idea.
So I have 3 confirmed bands already, if you can believe it or not. And then I have 2 others that I've requested, so it's gonna be great. So we need lots of sponsors, lots of businesses, so,
We gotta take the dance.
yeah, they're expensive.
What are the bands? Can you say?
Yes, they are the Dunwoody High School Band, the Spirit of Atlanta, and the CD Drum and Bugle.
Hey, Penny, for people that don't know,
I'll give it to you.
what's this, tell us what the Spirit of Atlanta Band is, because
It's huge. It's 5 buses full of, the DHA.
well, we have all members in here, and if you're not a member, we ask you to leave right now. You want to talk about the weather that you promised us for 2024?
No promises, no promises.
If you didn't make it out to the parade last year, hopefully you did. It rained hard for a good 45 minutes, I don't know, and I'm not sure that we lost more than 10% of the people that came out, and it was just fantastic. We got soaked and
It was actually more fun.
it was.
It was fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Some of the lighting.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. So anyway, it'll be a better one this year.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. You're a great
Penny has been doing the parade since its inception,
I'm 100 years old.
and it just keeps getting bigger and better. Thank you, Penny. I want to bring up our state senator, Sally. You're now in your 3rd term,
Yes,
and you're here to announce that you'll be running again, right?
I am here again, yes, we run every 2 years. My phone here, I just don't have the time. Yes, in the Georgia General Assembly, everyone runs every 2 years, like Congress, whether you're in the House or the State House or the State Senate, it's every 2 years. So of course that is coming up. It's been a while since I've been here.
If you don't mind coming right.
I didn't want to stand in front
No,
of
you're
people,
good.
but I guess fix it.
I'll do it from the side. You're good. You're perfect.
Okay. Okay, it's been a while since I've been here. I've got the thumbs up with the camera. Because of the pandemic, really. So it's nice to be back. I'm a little older now. We're all a little older now, right? I was asked to kind of talk about what I'm working on in the Senate. We're in the 2nd year of a 2-year term. So all the bills that started last year rolled over if they weren't voted down and can be up for consideration this year. For whatever bills don't pass this year, they all die. And then we start fresh next year after the elections. So basically that means we're in the final lap of the race, so to say. If we don't get these bills passed in the next few weeks, then they will die. Crossover day, which is the day that a bill has to pass its original chamber in order to go on to the next chamber this year, is Leap Day, February 29th. And then signing die this year is scheduled for March 28th. So last year we had kind of a big adjustment period because we had new leadership in both chambers. Our Speaker of the House, David Ralston, sadly died after last session, or after, I guess it's been a little while. The House elected a new Speaker of the House, John Burns, and he started his first session as Speaker last year. And then because of the elections, we have a new Lieutenant Governor. The Lieutenant Governor actually does run the Senate. It's not just a symbolic thing. He actually runs the Senate and decides which bills make it to the floor. And of course, we have a new Lieutenant Governor. We did have Jeff Duncan, and now we have Burt Jones, which kind of injected a lot of change into the chamber because Jeff Duncan was he was a Republican, he was a very moderate Republican. He came from, he was conservative, but he was moderate in his actions. He came from the House. When he came to the Senate, he really wanted the legislators to kind of be in charge of our own plate of things we were working on. He didn't interfere a lot. He kind of stayed in the background. Burt Jones had a very different reputation. He was kind of, there's a split in the Republican Party in the state, well, there's a Republican split all through, but you particularly see it in the state Senate. And Burt Jones was more in the kind of election denier, conspiracy kind of world. So it was a little worrisome to some of us to come under his leadership. And then there was kind of a fight within the state Senate Republican caucus for leadership. We had the more moderate end of the party in leadership last term, but I think because Burt Jones took the lieutenant governor's role, the more right-wing end of the Republican Party won all the leadership positions in the state Senate. So the state Senate is where we have been seeing for the last 2 years the more contentious bills. The state House has been a little bit more moderate. In fact, they've been killing some of those bills. I've been told that from one of my Republican colleagues that even though we might not see it, his read is that 65% of the Republicans in the state Senate would prefer not to have Donald Trump. They're not going to come out and say that, but that's what this gentleman told me, and I think that's interesting. So there hasn't been a whole lot of kumbaya singing together in the state Senate in terms of the two parties. Although I feel like it's less contentious this year than it was last year. Maybe it's because we were getting ready or getting used to new leadership last year. This year we're a little more used to each other. I think the lieutenant governor came in and made some decisions that made a lot of people angry, whether they were Republican or Democrat, and he seems much more chill this year. And he said in between sessions that just because we agreed last year doesn't mean we're going to forever disagree. So he has calmed down a little bit. And I think that my impression at the beginning of the session, when I listened to the speeches, senators like to talk a lot. And we go to the front podium, which is called the well, and we have these points of personal privilege, and we definitely take advantage of those. So the first couple of days of session this year, there was a lot of talk about security, because over the holidays, over the Christmas holidays, quite a number of state senators and the lieutenant governor were swatted, meaning somebody called in a fake emergency and gave the legislators address, and they would make up a story that was very upsetting, and so it would send the whole SWAT team out. Now you can't imagine this has got to be really, really scary when you look out your kitchen window and all of a sudden see cops in full gear jumping the fence to your house. So there was a lot of, okay, this has gone too far. We need to stop this. And so I feel like that kind of brought us together, because that happened both to Democrats and Republicans alike. So I have been able to have a lot more luck this year working across the aisle. I try to put a smile on my face and just have a good positive attitude, and I find that goes a long way. So the issues I've been working on, several of them are mental health focused. One issue that I've been working on actually for decades has to do with ensuring that Georgia provides better services to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. These are adults. These are people who have aged out of the school system, and it is no longer legal for us to send them to Milledgeville and have them live their lives in an institution. There is a Medicaid program called Home and Community-Based Services that gives them money to support them, to give them what is necessary for them to live in their community and to work in their community. Well, we haven't been funding that for several decades. There was a waiting list back when I served in the House of a couple thousand people. When I came back to serve in the Senate 15 years later, there was a waiting list of 7,000 people. And I said, that's not okay. And so I started a movement. I was helped by a Dunwoody resident named Philip Woody, who has a disabled child. And we put our efforts together and increase the number of these Medicaid waivers that are given so that we can reduce the waiting list. But what we found is that as we funded more families, there became a second waiting list, and that was for services, because these small businesses that provide these services, there's a workforce issue, because Medicaid determines how much the caretakers get paid. And so I created a study committee resolution and co-chaired it with the Republicans, it was bipartisan. We went all over the state and had public hearings about what was wrong with the system, and it turned out wages were really, these people were getting paid $11 an hour, so they were leaving for higher paying jobs. So long story short, there's $80 million in the budget this year to increase, for the state match, to increase Medicaid reimbursement rates for those workers, which should help with the services. And we have quadrupled the number of waivers that we're giving families every year. I have Senate Bill 198, which is now moving. It passed the Senate Health Committee unanimously a couple weeks ago. It creates an innovation commission for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to last 5 years with working committees, so that we can really roll up our sleeves and get the job done and build the capacity for the supports for these families up in Georgia the way they should have been built up a long time ago. So that's one issue. That's a really long-term issue I've really put my heart into. Also here in Dunwoody, there's a program called the Clubhouse Atlanta. It's housed at, I believe it's St. Patrick's Episcopal. And it provides a clubhouse for people with chronic mental health issues. They can come during the week, they can hang out, they can get help looking for a job, they can get supports in trying to keep that job, they plan their menus, they make their own lunches. It's just really kind of building in a neighborhood style support system. And I have a budget request in for them for $225,000. $225,000. We're hoping that that's going to get funded. And so there's that. And then, let's see, a couple of education issues I'm working on. I've also worked really hard on trying to lower the cost of tuition for our public colleges. I've succeeded already in eliminating a student fee, a very expensive student fee, because those are not included in the Hope Scholarship. And this fee was costing anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a year. And it was called a special institutional fee. It was a fee that was tagged on after the Great Recession, when they had to find more money to cover the budget for colleges, and it was supposed to be temporary and it never went away. And so we got that removed, saving kids up to $1,000 a year. So that was good. Now I've come back and I just filed a bill Friday, Senate Bill 526, that is a comprehensive needs-based scholarship program. We're calling it the Good Faith Grant. Because these are the kids who have done what they need to do to be able to qualify for admission to college, but they simply don't have the money to pay for it. They might not be Hope eligible. And so we dropped that bill Friday with the main signature being the chairman of the Senate Higher Education Committee. Sometimes Democrats do all the work and then they let the Republicans get the credit, because that's how we get things done. It doesn't matter really who gets the credit, it's that we help these families across Georgia. Finally, another education bill I am working on that is actually moving right now, that I am the author, but I got my second signature to be the chairman of the Education and Youth Committee. Is to guarantee that our school children, elementary and middle school, have a recess or break every day. Right now, we have that law in Georgia, but it says that they don't have to have that on days they have PE. And what the research says is PE is not the same as recess, because recess is unstructured. Recess really gives your mind a chance to take a break, and you get to kind of make your own decision about how you spend that time. That is what a true break looks like from learning, and the research indicates that PE does not provide that. So if you want kids to really get a break and be able to come back and sit in their seats and take in more information, then you really have to have recess. So that's just a bit of what I'm working on this year. It's a challenging environment. When we're in session, you're working long hours. I'm committed to making sure that I have good communication, so I'm not just down there doing my thing and nobody knows what I'm doing. We publish when we're in session, we publish a weekly newsletter. It's called Sally's Senate Snapshot. And I get really good feedback about the letter. We try to make it, about the newsletter, we try to make it fun and kind of fun to read. So I actually I enjoy a very high readership. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to my website, which is sallyharrell.org. Just Google Sally Harrell, look for my website, and immediately it will come up, subscribe to my newsletter. All you have to do is put in your email there, and I promise you I will not share your email address with other people, or other people asking for money and that kind of thing. It stays with me. So that's just a little bit about what I'm working on. Are there any questions?
So when does the current session end?
Signing out is March 28th. It's a shorter, session is always 40 legislative days. And that's what our state constitution tells us we're limited to. But those 40 days can be spread out as much as you want them to be, because if you have days in between, those are days that are in the chamber. If you have days in between that are not in the chamber, oftentimes committee meetings will meet on those days, and those don't count as the 40 days. But traditionally, we're in session January, February, March, maybe some of April, but since it is an election year, and the primary election for Republicans is the primary, they need to get done, and so that they can start their campaigns, because the primary is coming up in May, and 3 weeks of early voting. You actually have to have everything in place well before election day, because people start voting 3 weeks ahead. So, yeah, they kind of really condensed it this year so that we're done by March 28th.
Which bills will most likely pass this year?
Which bills are most likely governors? And the governor has, he wants a tax cut. He wants the most common line you hear at the legislature now is Georgia is the #1 state for business. You hear that over and over and over and over again. If you played a drinking game for every time you heard that phrase, you would be drinking too much. But we had a long debate on the House floor about unions. He's got a bill that makes it harder to unionize. And so that's something he's pushing. He's beginning to push some tort reform, although he said that actually needs more work and he's not going to lay it all out this year. We're, of course, pushing for Medicaid expansion. We have 500,000 people in Georgia who are uninsured who could qualify for Medicaid if we had expanded it like almost every other state has. The governor did do a teeny tiny little Medicaid expansion. He calls it Georgia Pathways, but it's only about 3,000 people have signed up for it. And that's, I'm not going to get it, well, it costs more to insure those 3,000 people per person because we draw down a lower reimbursement rate from the feds. It costs more in state dollars to pay for those 3,000 on Medicaid than it would 500,000, because we'd be able to pull down a much, much higher federal match if we made our numbers go larger. So there's been some talk that there are some Republican representatives on the House side that understand we really do need this. They're more for rural areas where their hospitals are suffering, and they see that, and so they know we need Medicaid expansion. And so there's some talk that there may be movement, but I haven't seen it yet, so I don't think it'll be this year. Fingers crossed it could be, but every year I see more progress.
Couple issues. One is sports betting, there's been a lot of conversation about that. Second has to do with capping some of the credits that you're given for the film industry. Where do you see both those, so kind of an economic development perspective, is how they're presented, but where do you see those both?
I think we might get sports betting this year. I know.
Now, right? It just, it goes with that, right?
Well, that's been the big question with sports betting. Does it need to go to ballot as a constitutional amendment? Or can it slide in under the existing lottery program? And so, like, we already passed a bill in the Senate on sports betting that didn't have a referendum. But I understand that there's a committee is moving forward with a bill that does have a referendum. I personally think it needs a referendum, but we'll see. I think my prediction is we'll get sports betting with a referendum.
I bet on.
You got it.
And then the film industry, I have not heard of any action in that area. Has anyone else?
Well, the House side, I think there's conversation about capping the dollar amount of credits.
Okay, so it's.
County forces see a lot of expansion with several different studios.
Right. Yeah, it's really hard for me to keep track of what's happening on the House side. It's so funny that the chambers are really separate. My colleagues on the House side, I don't even see them hardly. We are so busy focusing on what's happening in our own chamber. I was thinking about this before I came because I was trying to read newsletters to update myself about what's going on in the House. And I decided I probably need like a volunteer intern every year just to track what's going on in the House and maybe a weekly report on what's happening over there. That would prepare me better for what's coming over to the Senate side eventually. So, yeah, it sounds like all the activities on the House side.
Anyone else?
So Sally, I'm trying to see it. Late last week, can't read the names, but Senate Bill 515 was dropped. It was Friday, late Thursday, that would pilot a program where the government, it's kind of like the state would fund extra ambulances. You know what I'm talking about? So there's Albert's bill, which would require study out of the Department of Public Health, which is not a bad thing. And then would give cities and counties that are 95% municipalized the right to run their own ambulance services. That's just Fulton County. That's not, there's no other county in Georgia that's 95% municipalized.
Oh, and Senator Albers lives in Fulton.
Yes,
So
he
he's
tells
really
you
focused
he's doing it for, he tells our lobbyists that he's doing this for Fulton County.
Okay.
We're working with our attorneys and things to see if there's language he would agree to, but they had a hearing on that bill, and he just agreed to keep working with stakeholders. The Department of Public Health oversees ambulances.
Right.
And this is a problem.
Yes, it is.
That is the first problem.
And a lot of the industry people are on that board.
Yes, it is. There's lots of problems.
Yes.
I do not think in a pilot situation we would receive in Dunwoody any assistance, but apparently the person who introduced, I can't read the name on the picture, the lobby sent, is one of the governor's floor managers, and so I'm guessing this is the governor's, like, I'm not going to fix the Department of Public Health, I'm not going to fix any policies that are probably broken, I'm just going to add ambulances in the areas where there is not enough service. It's not a terrible thing that the government solution for problems separately from the rest of rural Georgia. We would much prefer, we would prefer Albertsville to pass as well, even if it doesn't help Dunwoody, because then it will lay a precedent.
Right.
And some data that will show. So we ask
People heard numerous stories about people calling ambulances. When you call an ambulance, you want it there, because you've already assessed that you have an emergency on your hands. And you want it there within a few minutes. And I've been hearing stories about people waiting and even being told, well, drive the person there yourself. Yes. I mean, it even happened to Representative Longtran. And we had several stories, 2 senators who got caught, who made speeches in the well early in the session, who got caught in situations where they personally needed ambulances and the ambulances didn't come. So it is definitely a statewide issue. I know it's been a problem here. It is the corrupt board and how it's governed, and also that there's problems in the contract level too. And this is a nationwide problem because ambulances have been privatized for profit. And so if you have, a system that's for profit, they're gonna see how few ambulances they can have. There's just finger pointing that happens. Well,
New ambulance, you can see without where you park, that is in the parking lot right now. We're paying $600,000. You can see without where you park, that is in the parking lot right now. We're paying $600,000 for to have that 99, 7 days a week to see if it helps. The first day, it's too early. But over it started in the middle of December, and we wanted them that needed to unload their patients before they wouldn't even be able to unload theirs. My advice to people is if you have a broken bone and someone can get you to the hospital, if you have a stomach bug and you're worried about being dehydrated, that you should probably go to urgent care for. But you need to be judicious when you can. If you have a broken arm, you're going to wait a long time because they triage calls. They have to.
I definitely support Senator Albert's way of letting local communities run their own ambulance programs, and let's see how that does. The problem with the governor's approach is that the crisis drives policy. Like bills come forward because there's a crisis. If you just eliminate the crisis so it's almost a crisis, but not quite, then the problem goes away and you don't get any action. And I think the governor's approach of just having some money to buy some ambulances for South Georgia just lowers the prices to the point where it's not driving policy anymore.
Okay, Sally, thanks so much for coming out. I want to announce that we have added a couple of board members.
I'm going to do that, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
We've added 2 new board members, Marianella Lopez and Jeannie Poster, who's been at a few of our last few meetings. Thank you, Jeannie, for officially joining. All right, as the, Lynn, I'm glad you're here today. John Hennigan.
Hey, John. Greetings, Clark.
We have a new incoming police chief. Lynn, why don't you introduce yourself?
So I hope everyone here heard that Chief Brogan, after 41 years of service in law enforcement, has made the decision to retire. Police chiefs around who can say they started a police department. They're obviously a handful. He's one of the very best, and we wish him well. 41 years is a long time to be on call all the time, and leadership. And we're so proud of the work he accomplished and the groundwork he laid. And I'm thrilled to announce that our city manager, so in Georgia, in the form of municipal government we have, the city council and mayor's only employees are the city manager, the city clerk, and an attorney. So everybody else works for the city manager. So Eric Clinton announced Thursday that Deputy Chief Mike Carlson will be our second police chief, succeeding Chief Brogan, starting April 1st. There'll be some announcements about celebration at the council meeting for Chief Brogan, but I'm thrilled to introduce, he's 15 years at Dunwoody. He was here when we started. We could say he kind of grew up with our police department and our city. He has lots of great ideas. I'm really confident that he's going to continue the good work we do and grow on it and build an even better police department if that's possible. The officers really, the conversations I've had with members of our department, very positive, very excited. A very new officer said to me that he was thrilled because it means that the department he was hired on for is going to be largely the same. And retention of police officers is my #1 priority. So introducing, for now, Deputy Chief Mike Carlson. Will be Chief Mike Carlson in just a few weeks.
Mike, remember they had to twist your arm to take this out?
I wish I had a war story. How I received this, but I don't. But anyway, thank you for inviting me here. It's very hard to put on a belt, so I dressed down today. So it's probably why some of you may not recognize me, because I'm always in uniform in the city here. So thank you for having me. As the mayor stated, I have been here from day one. I came over from Marietta with Chief Grove, and I've worked for him for over 20 years. So he has developed me. We're always creating a succession plan, and it sends a huge message that, with the support of the mayor and council, the city manager promoted from it, sends a huge message to not only our employees at the city of Dunwoody, but to all of them as well here in the city that's done that. We are developing from within. He's leaving, which means my wife will be in the she's going to bother me on it. Look, I can put a word, chief now, yes. So I've been in law enforcement for 26 years, I just hit my 15th year on February 5th here in Dunwoody, and I tell you, it has been one heck of a ride. It has been, I love coming to work. The men and women that I work with, it's just phenomenal. I can come in, we get the job done, and work. The men and women that I work with, it's just phenomenal. I can come in, we get the job done, I can't say enough about the men and women that I work with. We have a very, very strong, positive culture in Dunwoody. And along with the mayor, my number one mission is retention of our officers, because not a lot of people want to do this job nowadays. And for me and my command staff, we need to provide that environment, that not only are we going to be there to lead them, make sure that they have the best training and equipment for all of our staff, but create an environment where they're welcome, that they know that the command staff has their backs, and we do, right? We do wholeheartedly. A lot of stuff that's coming to Dunwoody right now. I'm right in the middle of creating our real-time crime center. I invite all of you to come see it once we get it up and running. If you remember Coffee County, you remember the shooting that happened down in Fulton. They used the real-time crime center to find individuals by Church Park. So the technology that we are bringing into the city has been phenomenal. We have solved so many crimes using that technology. We're only going to increase that technology in the next couple of weeks. So when I started, I had a patrol car, an aluminum clipboard, and I can't remember this. I had no computers, no license plate readers, you name it, we had nothing. To what we have now, we're about to put a drone on our roof. We're going to be testing and evaluating. It's actually going to deploy to critical incidents. So our officers will be able to look down at their computer, and if we have somebody in the real-time crime center, they're going to be able to get eyes on that incident before our officers ever even arrive. Live 911, which means we're going to be carrying live 911 calls. So we get the information quicker than dispatch can give it to us. We have license plate readers in all of our vehicles, so that has increased our ability to catch wanted people. You name it. So a lot of great things that are coming here. But transparency, I will promise all of you that I will maintain that transparency that Chief Grove has done from day one. As the new chief coming in, I will own all the successes for Dunwoody and also the failures. We're going to make mistakes from human, okay? But it's how we handle it, it's how we move on from it, it's how we adjust our policies and procedures to make sure that we are giving 100% the best customer service to the community, everybody that travels in and out of here and works here at Dunwoody. So once again, Mr. President, thank you so much for inviting me. At this time, I'd love to take any questions that you all may have.
Chief, let me ask you this. Salary aside, what's the key to retaining officers?
They're not bouncing from department to department. We have a the mayor and council have provided us with an excellent salary management package to take care of our officers. So yeah, that is important. But it's that culture. It's that culture knowing that we're going to take care of them in every way, and it's creating opportunity for them. We're not a big department. Right now we're 64 sworn. We are down a few. It's creating opportunity within that department. It's creating movement. Once again, within with their vote of confidence in me, you know, that's going to create an additional formal promotions. We are looking, we're working with mayor and council right now on creating specialized units within the department so we can address certain types of crime that are here in the city. That all of you may not see, but it's here, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it or hide it. It's here. The crime is here, and we're doing our best to stop that. So it's creating opportunity, you know, having those benefits, and like I said, creating that culture, taking care of them. I like to have a family atmosphere. I want them to come in. I want them to feel comfortable coming to work, and I want them to feel comfortable coming to me. I know I'm going to be busy all day. I get this. Hey, chief, you got a second? Hey, chief, you got a second? Absolutely. I'll drop what I'm doing. I'll work late. But if they have a question, comment, and concern, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. And I want to make sure that, you know, everybody from the officer all the way up that chain of command, that those messages get to me. Because if it doesn't we press the bag, that they're not passing on any concerns that the officers may have. Because I'm going to take them wholeheartedly and make sure that I listen to them. So first thing I'm going to do within the next couple of weeks before I'm sworn in as the next chief is to meet with all my supervisors. Once I meet with all of them, I want to make sure I'm seeing what their career path is, because right now the jockeying for position comes in. Oh, well, if so-and-so gets lieutenant, and then he'll move here. It's hilarious. I've seen it for 26 years. So I want to meet with them. And I want to find out what their future goals are, what their ideas are for the city, what ideas are they going to bring if in fact they can get promoted. And then eventually I'm going to meet with every officer. Chief used to do it, called fireside chats, and there's nothing like getting into the passenger seat of the vehicle, which you see and hear more about what their concerns are, because they may not be comfortable talking to their supervisor or their peers. And, you know, it's not an intimidation thing. I'm a very open person. You can come talk to me and, you know, to get what their ideas are, what their concerns are, because it's important. You've got to work with these folks. You know, the applications, they're trickling in, and when we do get one, we do get a good one. You know, it costs money to train them, to equip them. You know, it's you know, then an opportunity in the private sector comes up, and you know, they jump on it because, well, I can have a normal schedule, I can have a normal life, I can. You know, it's dangerous. Our use of force has gone up 206%. 206% our use of force. We're working on our annual report that will be out soon. We'll post it to our website. But what that means is that we're encountering more, you know, technology helps that. You know, we're encountering more and more crime, you know, because we're seeing it. The technology's picking up this car, and oh, they're wanted, you know, so we stop and a lot of times they try to get away, et cetera, et cetera. So, but any other questions? Did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Ken.
Any thoughts who's going to step in your role?
Absolutely. So in our policies and procedures, I'm going to open it up. I'll work with the city manager, but you know, after a thorough interview process, basically what they're going to do is they're going to give me their resume and write a management statement. And I will consider their background of what they've done for the department, not for themselves. You know, yes, we have to do self-development. I will still do self-development as a chief. It's all about those officers and those supervisors. I'm going to focus a lot on middle management and to develop them more, get them more training. We have a we have an excellent education, training, and travel budget, and you got to get state-of-the-art training nowadays, and we're able to do that. So after a thorough interview process, once I make my selection, I'll be announcing each rank. This way to see it. He was one of my original council members, so good to see you, sir.
Yes. Is the department getting what it needs from mayor and council? Because, you know, money's tight, are they doing everything they need to do to make you all successful?
And pretend language is not
I'm just gonna say this because, we have a reporter here, mayor and council, but no, 100%. So, we have to stay up with technology. If there's better equipment, we've just adjusted our cage. We just adjusted our primary pistols. We're keeping up with technology. What's best? What is going to help protect our officers? And everything we've asked for, we have gotten from them. So they have been so supportive. You know, I work very closely with. I'm starting to work even closer now with the city manager and come to him with ideas and stuff that we need. And yes, so their support has been phenomenal. From day one, the city mayor, I've worked for several mayors now, have been supportive of the police department and, of course, the Family Homeowner Association. Super proud to work with them from day one. It's been an honor to work with them. questions.
So what ceremony do we have to show up to see the chief actually do this?
Well, I think it's still to be determined. I think it was around the middle of May. I'm still working with it.
We're working on it, and we'll let everybody know.
Yeah.
We'll make sure Bob has it.
Once we get over it. But, chief, we will have a retirement ceremony. These are big shoes to fill. You know, this, like I said, I worked for this gentleman for over 20 years. He is, I'm coming in from the outstanding police chief of the year. That was, the Georgia Association of Police. Okay. So those aren't some police shoes. So those are some big shoes to fill. But he developed me, you know, and both my predecessors, retired deputy chief, David Siles and David Forms, both were very instrumental in my development, you know, professional development as well, getting me ready and tasking me with those important issues. You know, so I've been privileged to work in every single position in the police department, and I love to say that because I've seen every little bit. I've worked with, you know, every single officer, division, supervisors, and I learn more from them than they do from me. So it's been very right. It's been very right. Yes, ma'am.
Chief Sumner, I don't know if we've seen it here, but in other parts of Atlanta, we're starting to see a problem with squatters and empty houses. It could be while they're on the market. Are we seeing that in Dunwoody and help with the realtors or with the police to kind of?
Yeah, communication. So we have dealt with SWAT before, not a problem in the situation. I can only think of 2 or 3 times. Yeah, 2 or 3 times. So yeah, it's communication with the realtors, letting us know, making sure that they're checking on those homes, you know, periodically, to make sure that everybody is, you know, they let their money in there. There has been some movement. The marshals are sort of backed up right now because they're basically the ones that handle the evictions, but they make the process quicker. We haven't seen that. Like I said, we don't really have it up here yet. The quickness hasn't started because they're so backlogged. So there's a quicker way for the homeowners to get those spots out of the homes. Crazy. Yes, ma'am.
I have to thank you for serving our city and our country. I was so thrilled to see the post on Facebook that you were chosen, and I'm just one citizen. I just wanted you to know how happy I am that you are taking over that job, and I want to just thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've known you a long time.
Yeah, we know each other, and I appreciate those kind words.
One sort of give you that, yeah.
It took a lot of my time, but changes like you and we have to do from a homeland security perspective. We talk about it, we plan about it, and I promise you, you know, we'll be there. Our presence will be known, and the last thing I want under my home is for a critical incident to occur. However, we're prepared to handle that. So, but we will be there in force.
So, I think there's a lot of mental health issues out there for right now in our world, in our city. And a lot of times we don't know whether we should call the police or who to call if there's a neighbor who suffered mental health. And we don't want the neighbor or the individual to be at risk of any, source from the police. But we also want to protect the community and the neighbor from the mental struggle that they're going through. What do you suggest for families and folks, our community, when we see somebody either walking down the street that is clearly talking to themselves, acting irrationally, how do we respond to that?
So we get calls. So we get one of our number 1 calls here in the city, we call it by check. And if you see somebody with mental health crisis, absolutely, because our officers are trained. We are trained in mental health. We are CIT trained. We take an 8-hour mental health class through Georgia Public Safety Training Center. We have wrong. We didn't know how to do it. We didn't know how to de-escalate situations. That's what it's about now. And time is on our side. A lot of times, in the past, we're like, oh, scoop them up, let's get out of here. No, time is on our side. It's up to us to de-escalate that situation. So not only that, right now we have a contract with the Community Services Board here in DeKalb, along with a partnership in Doraville. Now, we had a clinician on staff. The clinician was actually in our department and would actually take custody of that person, take them to the hospital, get the help that she needs. The clinician went back to, he didn't like the bouncing around, stuff like that. So we're working with the community service support. They're looking for another clinician to come back on it. It was one of the best programs we've ever had to deal with that, with the mental health crisis. We're hoping to hear back from CSB to get another clinician on staff. And it was a gentleman, Greg, super nice guy, and we would he has his own car, he had radio, he had a computer, he came out to the scene, he evaluated, said yes or no. And then we go from there. So mental health goes beyond what's out there, and one part that we have to deal with is mental health within law enforcement now. And so we have taken necessary strides to make sure that we have peer support. We have an employee assistance program, which the city gets us, which is free to the officers that may need that. You know, we just had a critical incident a few months ago, and one of our officers was really good about that. And but we have the resources in place to get the help that he needs. So that is just as important as dealing with that out in the public. So that was a very good question. I hope that answered it.
Yes.
All right, Chief Carlson, really appreciate it. Thanks for All right, last but not least, we want to hear from our CEO of this wonderful new facility, Alan Faulkner, who everyone I'm sure knows, and gracious enough to host us today. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming. Definitely, also for that. I'm proud you had already, but thank you guys for coming. I just want to provide a quick update. Expansions.
I've heard this.
That's right. Kathy, I won't tell anyone you're on our board. That would be like.
That would be conflict of interest.
Can have a lot of respect for my role. So we started this back in April. In essence, we've added 8,300 square feet to our existing facility. So as you guys know, the building is shared space between the Dunwoody branch, the Cat Library, Squirrel Center for the Arts, and the Stage Door Theater. So we had occupied just almost 11,000 square feet. We added another 8,300, so now we have 20,000 almost square feet of studio space. So that means we have had 10 previous studios. We added 7 more, including with us for years in the hundreds each quarter. To put some numbers in context to what we're doing, this current quarter we have more than 1,800 students already. We still have another 88 classes that start between Monday and the end of March. And then in spring, we'll have even more. We've been kind of tripping over ourselves with space, like say, for example, in the summer months where we try to run a camp program and serve families in the area. We weren't able to do our full classes because the summer camps would take up our existing studios. With this new space, we can now do those programs at the same time. It also allows us to increase our social services program, such as there's obviously a revenue component for us as a nonprofit. That means we can put more money back into our organization throughout the year. So we're really looking forward to using this space. While y'all did christen it, you are one of our first meetings. And as Bob and his Bill Sparta so eloquently pointed out, we do have sound issues. We're working through a lot of that. As you guys know, we built something wrong. So I'm working through a lot of those, including sound in here. Our courtyard is almost finished. It should be another couple of weeks. It will definitely be done by March 23rd, which, as you guys can see from the bright postcard in front of you, is the date of our annual fundraiser, which will be out in the courtyard and in the new space as well. So the courtyard has a stage area, which we can use as well as to cross-program with the theater and with the library. It will have artificial turf in those ovals that you see in the middle. We just planted 23 trees, and we'll be adding some artistic measures to it as well. So think about like blacksmithing through the handrails, ceramics and mosaics out on the library side, murals obviously are low-hanging fruit, and a couple other programs that we're working on that I think you guys will be really impressed with as part of bringing more arts to the center. Our vision, we did our strategic plan in, completed it in December. That strategic plan calls for us to be a community center based on the arts. In the past, we've kind of been an arts center. We really do want to be a community center based on the arts. So again, talking about some of that programming, you guys may have read about our free community art closet, where anyone from the community can come in and pick up art supplies for their mental well-being or just to come and be involved in the arts. We've propagated public art throughout the city and served as a conduit for that between businesses and other organizations. And so we have a lot of ideas as to what we see for the future of our city and our community in terms of the arts. Just to keep you apprised of a couple upcoming days, March 23rd is our big fundraiser. If you haven't been to our gallery space on Astrodome Road, artistic space, we had a gallery opening Thursday night with 3U. So this is her first year of full programming. So please come out and support the library at the library. Please come out and support the library at the library. Please come out and support the gallery. We've also expanded the hours as part of our plan of what we're doing. So we're now open every day except for Monday. So we had never been open on Sundays before. We're now open 12 to 4 on Sundays. And to accommodate people that work, and apparently there's traffic in Dunwoody. We're now also, sorry Chief, I had to get something. We're now also open at 7 o'clock Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. We close at 5. And so we've been getting that question a lot, and the city's working towards walkability, so we want to be part of that conversation as well. So we've got a lot going on. Please stay engaged if you're not part of getting our newsletter. We don't spam you too much, just twice a month. It kind of keeps you apprised of what's happening over here. So any questions?
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
you had mentioned the stage out there, that it will be covered,
Yes.
and future plans include hosting special events.
Exactly, yeah. So special events, so not only for us, but for the community, this will be a rental space as well that people can use for celebrations and other community activities. We've done some other improvements throughout the property as well. So for example, we paved all the way to the back corner of the library parking. So parking is sometimes an issue here throughout the day with all the programs going on. So now the entirety of that back library lot is walkable to the new building and to the old building without any steps. So it's all for those 2 spots up there. So now we have front back as well, and also in the upper lot. So yeah, we're excited about everything going on.
So when is the mosaic gonna come up on the wall?
So that is actually a Sproul artist, but a city project. I was told April, but now that the mayor left, I don't know.
Okay.
Do you know, Tom, when that's supposed to be? I think it's supposed to be. I know she's done. So the artist, her name is Julie Mazzoni. If you look up her website and her video, you can see the mosaic that was done. It's gorgeous, spectacular. But I didn't do it besides being proud of having it on the corner. Anyone else? Awesome.
Thank you so much. And that will do it for us, and I want to thank everyone for coming. If you're a board member, if you'll hang out for just a little bit, we would appreciate it.